right, so welcome everybody, those on the remote end, those that are here in person, to our Experience the Neat Modern Workspace. And so we're going to kick it off with welcome you all, and then we're going to have, actually I'm going to talk a little bit about this space when we changed it, and then we're going to have Mike Asbury tell you a little bit about the Neat story, and then we're going to have a demonstration of the Neat board. All right, so let's, I forgot to get my little clicker again. All right, so you guys that are physically here are sitting in this area here. So like right behind you, right, there used to be this old, in fact it's still over there, this old shelf full of headsets. And so when we were all physically in the space pre-pandemic, sales reps were able to get up, walk over to the shelf, grab a headset, and then talk to customers about any issues they were having with it or some of the feature functionality of it, and that's what they were doing. And then of course the pandemic came, and we all were very easily and very quickly able to move remotely because we had decided to go cloud earlier on.
Welcome to the audio conferencing center. Please enter a conference ID followed by pound.
That's a multitasking fail.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Enter that code. All right. All right. All right, and so pre-pandemic, again, that's what you're looking at. Pandemic happened, everybody went home. Luckily, we're all cloud-based. We're able to use things like Zoom and Teams, 8x8, and all the cloud-based applications that are out there. And then post-pandemic, how do we get people to engage and collaborate more effectively? Do we want people, if they do come back into the office, do we want them to just go sit in the cubicles and join video meetings? The answer is no, right? And most organizations don't want that. And so I work literally from all over, and actually I'm going on another work from anywhere tour Friday. Hopping in my car, me and my wife are driving to I don't know how many different states, but what we're able to do is work because we have the technology that enables us to do that. But anyway, I can talk about this all day long, but you can see you have personal workstations, you have team workspaces here that allow your team members to communicate and collaborate regardless of where they are. All right, so let's give it over to...
Is it my turn?
Mike. Yeah, it's your turn.
Hey everybody. I've already talked to some of you already. All right, so launched Zoomtopia 2019. This is the kind of the genesis of Neat and who we are and how we got here. It's fun. I'm going to do this back and forth, a little ping pong. So in 2019, Eric Wan came to some of the people who had been our founders at Tandberg. So we come from Tandberg. If you're old enough to have some gray hair, you might know who that is. And about 12 years ago, Tandberg sold to Cisco. At that point, the founders went off and started some other companies like Pexip and Econo and other things like that. So Eric Wan comes in 2019 and says, I've got customers who are building their own Zoom rooms, and they're terrible. It's an inconsistent experience. They've got bad cameras, and they're doing all kinds of weird things. I need somebody to start a company that can create elegant solutions for these spaces. So that's how Neat came to be. So our flagship product is what you see back here. That's the Neat bar, and that's meant for small to medium spaces. We came out with that one during the Zoomtopia launch. Later in 2020, we came out with the Neat board. So the technology, this is not a modified television. So this is a purpose-built video conferencing device, and the technology that's in this device is the same technology that's in the Neat bar. So again, for that small to medium space. We patented Neat Symmetry, which I'm going to show you here in just a minute when Darren comes up and starts doing some demo stuff for you. And then in 2021, we came out with a Neat Bar Pro, which is meant to address a larger space. It's got a more robust camera, speaker, and microphone system in it. Neat Frame, that's the little guy right there in the telephone booth. Thank you, Vanna. That's perfect. And then having done all of that, we decided in 2022 that we would pursue this track to become certified with these devices for Microsoft Teams rooms. So we're fully certified for Zoom as well as Teams on all of these devices. So fast forward, here we are in 2023, where you got a couple of things that are new that we're going to hear about today. You've got Neat Pulse, which is a global one pane of glass monitoring and management platform for all your Neat devices. And then we've also announced Neat Board and Neat Center. Those are coming out in the fall. We're likely into the January because we are a manufacturer and things slip, but we want to do it right. So that's how we're going to introduce it. Let's go to the next slide, please. Talking to myself.
Work.
You doing it?
Yeah, you did. There you go.
That's worthless. So some statistics here, right? I won't get boring with this stuff, but we do have 12% market share, and that's just in 4 years out of the gate. So we've done really well, and a lot of that is due to our partners, like Call One, our partnerships with Zoom, and our partnership with Microsoft, because they are helping us to accelerate in the marketplace. We're the number 2 endpoint seller for Zoom rooms in the world. We're the number 4 in Microsoft, hedging up for number 3, but currently at number 4. Year-over-year growth, 2022 to 23 is 81%. Welcome, I'm Mike.
Mike, how you doing?
What's your name? Scott. Pleasure to meet you, Scott.
Sorry I'm late.
No, you're fine. 230,000 devices, a bunch of customers, 1,600 partners globally, but 73 countries. So for those customers of ours who are global, that allows us to create a standard, a global standard for those environments. We do a lot of business in small business. We do a lot of business in public sector. We do a lot of business in commercial. But our bread and butter is enterprise business. That's where we do the bulk of our business. And establishing and serving those standards is why we've been able to grow in the way that we have. What's next?
All right, Darren is up next.
Darren's up next. Y'all meet Darren Worthington. I don't know how to make him bigger, so you can do that.
I'll do that.
Darren is a product specialist with Neat, and he's going to walk you through not a bunch of death by PowerPoint, but he's going to show you some experiences that are unique to the Neat hardware and software platform, as well as show you some of the things that I haven't yet discussed. Darren, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, Mike. And just, I always like to start out this conversation and experiences with reiterating some of those things that you said there, which is really the foundational elements that I think are through lines through all the things we do at Neat. And that's that simplicity and intuitiveness that we build into not just our design and R&D, but everything that we do at Neat, including relationships with partners and end users, and really anything that we can make more simple. Kind of our mantra here is make it embarrassingly simple, hide all that complexity from the end users and partners, and build it into our AI. And the other thing is using all of those individuals that you mentioned have a lot of great experience in the conferencing industry. Use that experience to up the conference experiences, make them more intuitive, more user-friendly. And the first experience that I'm going to talk about here, I think really illustrates that point, and that's Neat Symmetry. If you paid attention to that timeline, you'll notice that Neat Symmetry came out over 2.5 years ago. So this is something we were first to market with. We have patented, and we think does a really, really great job of doing those individual framing. But rather than just talking about it on the slide here, let me stop sharing for just a bit and talk about our video, AI, and some of that symmetry. The first thing I'd like to talk about is really to understand how we're finding people in the space, right? Some of the manufacturers will look for facial detection. Some will triangulate for audio. As I move around the space, we do it just a little bit differently, right? We're finding people in the space by their shape. So I can walk around not facing the camera. Maybe I'm writing on a whiteboard, a chalkboard, or talking to other people in the space, irregardless of whether I'm looking at the camera or not, or if I'm speaking or not. We're going to be able to find and follow folks in a conference space. And just to illustrate how flexible that is, and really taking that simplicity to the finding and following. When the pandemic happened, obviously a lot of people had their faces covered, and it was an issue for folks that were using different methodologies. But for us, we still had that human shape, and we were still finding and following folks. But I think some of the real power here with our technology, with the AI and the video conferencing and the camera, is when we get additional people in space. So I'm going to grab a couple of buddies of mine here. I've got, you might recognize Paul Rowan here from the many movie roles, and Jason Sudeikis as Ted Lasso. I'm from Kansas City, and these are both Kansas City guys that went to the same high school system as I did, so I like hanging out with them here. But we're doing a framing technology here called group frame. So this is something that, is appropriate for specific use cases, but again, I mentioned we're trying to up that conferencing experience. So you can see here, I've got some empty space that's not really giving you any additional information. I'm also a bit closer to the camera, not a lot closer, I'm maybe 5 feet back, and Paul and Jensen are maybe 8 or 9 feet back, but we've got rooms that we've got our devices in that are, 25 feet back from the camera or 30 feet back. And these folks, if they were in the backs of those spaces, it'd be really hard to see them. It'd be hard to see their facial expressions, see their body language. Hard to gauge how, if you're communicating, doing a presentation to folks in this room, it would be hard to see their how they're kind of gauging that. So I'm going to turn on our symmetry. And you'll see here, it'll snap into our symmetry and provide us individual frames for each of the folks that it's finding. And we can use these cutouts, again, because we're finding people in the space by their shape. I'm still able to move around. Maybe I'm tired of standing here, so I'm going to sit down for a second. You'll see it moves me up to basically eye level with the rest of the folks in the frames, giving you that conference equity, right? We want to be able to see everyone in the remote conference space equally, and to be able to, again, gauge their body language and their facial expressions, and really have a grounding in the folks in this space. With our AI, we can also do some interesting things. We understand the orientation in the space. So if I switch spots here and move to the middle, you'll see that it's going to swap me in the view here, so that I'm now in the middle. And so if I turn to talk to Jason, or if I talk to Paul, it makes sense for you folks that are on the remote end. The next question is typically, how many of these frames can we do, right? And we call them frames because our AI is actually intelligent enough to understand if we have people overlapping, to put them in a single frame. This happens a lot when you've got a camera that's taking a shot down the long end of a conference table, and maybe there's people seated in chairs on the sides of that table. A lot of times they overlap, so we want to have the most aesthetically pleasing shot as possible, so we'll merge those into one frame. The number of frames that we can do on our small to medium sized devices, which I'll show in just a little bit, we can actually do up to 8 of these frames. For the Bar Pro and our larger spaces, we can do up to 15. So one of the things I like to talk about as well, since we are using the shape of a person to decide whether we're going to frame them, we do have some technology to overcome challenges that might show up if we've got our devices in, say, an open space or in a space that has a glass partition. So if you imagine here is our conference space, we've got our device here at the front of the screen, front of the room here. Maybe we only want to frame these 3 people that are in the front of the space. This could be an open space, maybe a kitchen, and folks are back here eating or cleaning up, whatever. It could be a conference space with a glass partition here, and these people are outside the space. With our framing boundary technology, we can set that boundary so that it basically will make it less deep and less wide, and we can really prescribe the area that we want to be able to frame folks. So I could be back here doing, and it's not going to frame me unless or until I actually walk into the area that we're actually framing for folks. Another thing that I like to talk about in conjunction with that framing boundary, because our audio actually has a tie-in to that framing boundary with our newest firmware. And that is, as we bring that boundary closer to the device, it's actually turning the microphone gain down just a bit, so the people that are inside that boundary are heard louder than the people outside the boundary. And we do some other things with our audio AI to make it really more natural and a little bit easier to hear. And the first one to talk about is our double talk detection. So we want to make this a really natural experience. And when you're in the same room talking with someone, a lot of times the conversation moves in different directions because
it's also possible that Darren's talking about something that I don't want him to say out loud because it may be covered by NDA, but we can hear each other at the same time.
We actually have the ability to allow for that interjection, whereas some other folks will gate that. So we think it's a much more natural experience. The other things that we can do with our AI for audio is suppress noises in the space. So we want to suppress noises that aren't human speech, that aren't really adding anything to the conference audio. And we do that with a couple of technologies, one called static noise suppression, that will take like fan noises and repeating noises and suppress them. And then also deep noise suppression, which takes more of those random or chaotic noises out, like your loud typers or maybe someone's unwrapping a sandwich. We also do reverberation, which makes acoustically challenging rooms sound better. But I want to show really quick our deep noise suppression and our suppression technology here. I'm in my office upstairs in the attic of my house, and sometimes it gets hot up here, and I need to run a fan. It's not too bad today, but I'm going to turn on my app here that simulates that fan noise. And give me a thumbs up if you're hearing the fan now with it. Perfect. So I've turned off our noise suppression technology. I'm going to talk for a bit. You can hear the fan noise. I'm going to turn on our suppression now, and you can hear now as I'm talking that fan noise should really melt away, right? And just hearing the human speech and makes it a much clearer and more natural experience here. So that's our suppression technology. Talking a bit more about some of the features in our devices, we do have sensors. So we can actually get the temperature, the air quality of the room, great for folks in facilities, things like that, and report that into our monitoring management platform that Mike mentioned. We also have the ability to, with the same technology that we're using to frame here, we can also count people. So you can get a good count of people in a conference space and understand how the rooms are being used and the number of folks that are in meetings. The other thing that we can do, I think that's really important, is with our microphones, we can use ultrasonic detection and understand if someone's in the space, right? So we can use a feature called auto wake that will understand if no one's in the space. It can turn the device down. Great for power saving, for sustainability. But when someone walks in the room, turn everything on so it's ready to go for kind of that click to join and starting a conference. And then finally, simplicity here for setup, right? I think we've got the best out-of-box experience in the industry, as evidenced by our animation, mounting animation. We can let folks pick in the out-of-box the device that they have, how they're going to mount it, and we walk through step by step with a really easy to use mounting guide here that's animated. Great for partners so that they totally understand the mounting experience, can do it as efficiently as possible, but also for end users, if you have to come back and adjust the mounting or maybe make a change, it's really easy to understand that, again, for the intuitiveness and simplicity of the product. Let's talk for just a bit about our portfolio here. I am right now on
Hey, Darren?
bar, and
I don't want, first of all, let's make sure we're open to questions and stuff. And I don't want anybody that's here with me to think I was doing smoke and mirrors. So we were muted. That's why I needed to stop talking. So talking. I wanted to display double talk while we're here. So count or something.
Sure, yeah. So I can talk
So
here.
if he's talking like here, and we can talk at the same time, so that if he's saying something that's inappropriate, he'll hear me and want to stop.
Interruption and interject.
I want everybody to get the benefit of that. So, yeah. I'm going to leave us unmuted too. Continue. Thank you.
Yeah, if there are any questions, please fire away. Happy to answer. But while folks are thinking of those, just want to go through our portfolio really quickly here. As I mentioned, I'm on the Neat bar here, and you can see our two all-in-one bars. One's for kind of smaller meeting spaces, your 8 to 10 person conference space, which is the Neat bar. And then we have the Neat Bar Pro here, which is for medium to large, so your 25 persons conference spaces there. These again are all-in-one purpose-built devices that include the compute, able to natively do Teams rooms, natively do Zoom rooms. With these all-in-one bars, you do need to have a pad for control. So this will run the out-of-box experience, the pin call experience, let you mute, let you join meetings, let you get into the settings and change settings here. But with that same hardware, you can also run it as a scheduler. For both Zoom and Teams, you can have that scheduler on the outside of the conference space to show availability, have that walk up and reserve capability as well. For small to medium-sized spaces, we do also have our 65-inch touch display. So this is a touch display allowing you to do whiteboarding use cases. You can share content, annotate over them here, and has, again, the camera, microphone, and speakers built in with multiple different mounting options. So we've got the cart mount that you can see here. We can do a wall mount. We can do a table mount as well. And then we have our frame, which is our most recent version to come out, our most recent hardware. That has a lot of different use cases. So I've got it here on my desk. We see a lot of use cases for home offices, for executive desktops. But that's not it. It will also do things like hot desking. So if you've got a space kind of like the one behind you there in the room where maybe you want to have folks come in and reserve a space and have a dedicated device that they can reserve and then log into quickly with a QR code. Both Zoom and Teams have that use case on the frame here. And then things like virtual receptionist, where you can hit a button and be able to get to a virtual reception or a virtual help desk and be able to help answer your question. And then we do have a couple of devices that are coming in the near future. So we've got the Board 50. Again, we keep it simple. This is our board that's a 50-inch board, so it's called Board 50. But you can see it has kind of a unique part there where we can adjust and be flexible, right? So you can put it at the height that makes sense for you when you're whiteboarding or annotating. And then this one hanging down from the ceiling is called the Meet Center. And the Meet Center is basically a 360 camera, 360 microphone that works in conjunction with our front of the room device. So great for the capabilities of having an additional view of folks in the room, right? So having these two cameras, being able to take shots of folks, really keeps you grounded in the space, and we can use those with our symmetry frames, especially when the conversation moves to kind of the local room. A lot of times from the front of the room device, or people here in the front of the room, you might be seeing the sides of heads or the backs of heads. With the center, you can get a really great shot there. It does also open up use cases for like training rooms and classrooms. So we can have, a shot of the students, but also be able to find and follow the instructor here in the front of the room that may be pacing back and forth or maybe, coming out to talk to students. Again, we do have, speaking of sensors, we've got an accelerometer in this device. And so you can hang it upside down and get into those unique spaces. And then finally here, we see one with two centers. That this is kind of a future state. The center here, we're looking at Q1 to come out for a GA. And at GA, we'll have support for one of these, but we're designing it so that we'll be able to have two of these centers, at least, perhaps more, so you can get additional angles and be able to have it here at larger tables. Then finally, we talked a little bit about our monitoring and management platform. This came out kind of middle of the year and provides a lot of really good manageability and monitoring for our products. So it allows us to do some cool things as far as, that sense data that I talked about. It gets reported into Pulse here. We can do updates and control updates from Pulse. We can do things like profiles, so we can have a consistent feature set and push those through profiles to our devices and allow us to do like bulk updates. So you don't have to make changes at the device. You can do it administratively from a central location. And then I think really importantly, and we get really excited, and I know customers get excited about this, is the ability to remote control into devices. So, I could be sitting here in Kansas City. I've got some devices in Michigan. I could remote into them right now and interface with them exactly as I would if I were standing in front of them. So I can start meetings. I can change settings from remote. I can do things like, help desk and technical support really, really efficiently. And I can do things like training as well as, white glove service for an executive or a VIP that might need it. So we're really, really excited about pulse control here and being able to do those monitoring and management capabilities.
Danny, did we get a
And
race
that's my time. I want to pass it back to the
I think that was
a clap. Oh, okay.
He liked that feature.
Okay. You know, one of my favorite parts about that remote control is when you, first of all, you have to request access for remote control. And then if the room doesn't have anyone in it, after 15 seconds, it's going to grant that remote control. But when you have remote control, you see the control device, but you also see what's on the screen. So that's pretty powerful for remote control. I equate it to providing, if you've never done this, if you've never provided technical support to my grandmother for a computer, you have to do like this and go, okay, all right, what do you see on the screen? And is it, no, but is it okay? Is it in that screen? This way you can see exactly what they're seeing in the room and be able to give them good advice there.
So I know you said the center's not out yet,
Correct.
and you said it works in conjunction with the front of the room.
Correct.
Can it be used standalone?
It cannot be used standalone. So it has to be paired with a front of room device. And I think what Darren was alluding to is when it's going to use Symmetry, so we all know what Symmetry is now. But Symmetry is going to pick the best version of you to share into that meeting. So we have to have that front of room compute in order for Symmetry to work with that device. But you know, front of room sees this, but Symmetry sees this. We're going to show this, and that's the AI that's built into our camera system that's giving us that view.
So 360 has the ability to block it out, which you see here on the screen.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah. And we actually overlap that a little bit more than just 360, so that nobody gets caught in a scene. Yeah. Which you've all seen some camera technology that has that. I always find myself, just the way I always pick the wrong bug in the grocery store.
Symmetry at its core uses object detection and is looking for the human body, kind of head, shoulders, and part of the torso. With the center, we're actually incorporating some facial recognition, and so that's how we determine which direction the participants are facing and ultimately which is going to be the best perspective.
So is the limitation still 15, or you can have, you have a room of 40 to 50 plus?
It's a little bit TBD, but we're expecting it to follow the front of room limitation. So if it's paired with the Bar Pro, it would be 15 crops or frames. If it's a bar or a board, it would be.
The whole purpose for this, by the way, was over the last few years, we got used to a really intimate video conferencing experience. We're going back to shared spaces, and where on the far end they still look great on a big display, now I'm looking at a room full of pinheads. So what we tried to do with Symmetry is not recreate the problem we're solving, which is putting too many faces on the screen. So we do more with the Bar Pro because those rooms usually have larger displays, and fewer with the bar and with the board because they are in more intimate spaces.
Yeah, I'm having a challenge here.
What's your challenge, Daniel? Are you trying to share content?
There
It's
it
probably
is.
something Josh did with that clicker thing.
Yeah, probably the viruses on the floating. Getting that thumbing around.
Any questions from the far end, you guys? Thomas, tell us what you clapped about. Tell us unmuted, Thomas. Still muted, Thomas. Or maybe just soft talk. Is it a headset?
Yeah, what headset is it?
Danny really wants to know.
I think it was the remote control. Give me a thumbs up. Is it the remote control feature of Pulse?
There you
Let's
go.
try this again.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's weird. For some reason, my headset's not picking up the audio. No, it's just fascinating to see the Symmetry stuff. I think it's really neat to see the screen list.
Really neat.
Trying
You got to put a dollar in the knee jar, Thomas.
and put down. Well, we'll look at it.
So, by the way, before you go into the Danny show, you know, we showed you the neat frame, and so we failed to do this in our last meeting. So I want to make sure we know there's a raffle. We're giving away a neat frame today. So this is being managed far end and near end for people who participated, and Michelle, those who shared their video, you too, Garrett. But so we've got a jar here that we're going to be drawing from to give away a neat frame at the completion of today's event. So if you haven't engaged, then engage and make sure that we've got you in there. Thank you.
All right. So there you go. A quick demonstration of the Neat solution, the quick story about Neat and how they came to be. And of course, we got to do a little plug for us, Call One and Hello Direct. So we want you guys to partner with us. We want to partner with you and help you with your audio and video solutions. Why? 3 reasons. Specificity, credibility, and value. All we do is focus on professional grade audio and video solutions for personal and team workspaces. That's it. That's all we do. Credibility, we've been doing this for a really long time. Right? Since 1987, we've been providing headsets, and I don't see any graveyards except for these guys, but back in the day when we had Plantronics, GNECOM, Unix, and ACS, when those were brands, we entered the audio video conferencing space in 2003, so we've been doing that for 20 years now, 26 years now. In 2022, we celebrated 35 years in business, so we must be doing something right, because people keep coming back. In 2023, we were awarded Business of the Year by the Melbourne Regional Chamber here in Brevard County, and this last part is very important, this authorized reseller subject matter experts. I can't stress enough how important that is. There are tons of folks on the interwebs, right, where you can go online and buy all the things that we sell, but are they authorized? And the importance of buying from an authorized reseller is having the support, right? You get something, it doesn't work like you want it to, you need some additional technical support, you need some help, maybe you need a demo, you need pre-sale support, maybe. You can reach out to an authorized reseller, and not only do you get full support of Call-In and Hell Direct, but you get the full support of our partners like Neat. And so if we can't answer the question, they made it, maybe they can answer the question, right? So that's why it's so important. And the other thing that we do here, well, let's get into some values. So we're a nationally certified woman-owned business and woman-owned small business. So if you have supplier diversity initiatives that you want to satisfy, we can help with that. Wide range of complementary solutions and services. So let's say you need headsets and webcams for your desktop folks. Maybe you need some monitors. Maybe you want to buy a neat part, but you don't have a display. We can get you that. Maybe you need installation services, or you need someone like Lonnie. See Lonnie right here? Say hi, Lonnie.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, so this guy is like a legend in the audio video space, and he can, he's got 25 years in this industry, and he can help basically architect a solution that's typically...
I started when I was 5.
There you go. Yeah. He can help architect a solution that typically comes in way, way less expensive than some of these larger AV integrators that like to overcomplicate things and make it very complex. We can get you really... In fact, we're working on one right now. Angie, Lonnie, and myself. They got a quote for $40,000 for a space. We were to bring it down to like, what, 15K? So they're saving a significant amount of money working through us versus a traditional AV integrator.
I thought you were going to say you got it down to 39K.
It's really, like I said, it's really phenomenal.
It'll work better too.
See that? Yeah, so he's a genius. He's got all these little things he can plug in and help you out. Long-standing relationships with legacy and the new audio solutions. So as you know, Neat's 4 years old. So we do have a long tradition of working with these traditional vendors that you all know. But now we also, part of my role is to go out and find new technology that kind of aligns with the current marketplace and the current landscape and trends. And Neat was one of those. And I said, Neat is doing really phenomenal things. Let's partner with Neat. And the other thing, we were talking about simplicity. All these rooms that you see here, besides my wife designing and making it all pretty like this, I actually plug all this stuff in. So I have a very good understanding of how hard, difficult, or how simple and easy it is to set up. And as you notice, this Neat board,
One plug.
here's one cable. It's easier to get plugging it into the wall, right? So this is pretty simple. Some of the solutions are not as simple. The other thing that I love about this board, which kind of drew me to it, is this mobility factor. So we have a lot of organizations that don't want to necessarily commit and hang something on their wall. This is a nice option, especially if they have like 3, 4 conference rooms and don't really know what they want to do. They get this and they can move it around from room to room. More often than not, they end up buying more for each of the spaces because it's a cool thing. And then lastly, we put this here purposely to showcase the Neat boundary. So when we're showing customers you're able to actually block off this little area here. So if there's someone sitting back there, like Angie sitting back there, or you guys back there, and we're having a meeting, they're not seen. Again, this was all deliberate, the way we created these spaces. But anyway, I can talk. Oh, follow me on LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know, I forgot. I should put my little QR code so you guys can all follow me. But if you have any questions at all about any of the technology that you've seen today or any of the other solutions that we offer, reach out to us. If you want to book a demo so that you can ask questions about your specific spaces and use cases, book a demo, reach out to us, let us know. There's all our contact information, and if you have any questions.
Jamie Henderson has her hand raised.
Jamie Henderson.
Go, Jamie.
Good morning. Great presentation. I want to wave to Mario if you're there.
Mario here?
No?
I don't think
Did he
so.
show?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well,
We'll wait
I'll
back.
say good morning to everybody else.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of us in here. All
That was
right.
it.
That was it. All right. So if there's no further questions,
Do you want to talk about the PEP program, Mike?
oh yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so one of my favorite parts of Neat is what we call our PEP squad. And this is about getting technology in the hands of prospective customers. So the PEP squad stands for Product Evaluation Program. And let me first say also that all of these products that are shipping, which does not include the Center or the Neat Board 50, are in stock in warehouses. We have 2 of them in the United States. Closest to here is Louisville, Kentucky. The PEP squad's job, it's a dedicated team of people. So once we do have this conversation and show you all the neat fun stuff that we can do, I said neat, with symmetry and those other technologies, is we want to get it in your hands. So that team is charged with, we meet, and then I hand it to them. It's not you giving a purchase order to Call One, it's not Call One giving a purchase order to me. It's a DocuSign that we send you that says, yes, I want to evaluate your equipment. Yes, I know I get it for 30 days. Yes, I know at the end of 30 days I can either buy it or Neat will pay to ship it back. So there's no risk to the customer in that. Once that DocuSign document is signed, then we ship it out. If it's not a Neat board, it goes out overnight. If it's a Neat board, it goes out Friday. It takes a couple of weeks. But once that's in your hands, then you've got 30 days. We're also going to follow up with you and make sure that it's configured and that it's working in your network. And if you have questions or technical questions, that we address those things as well. And at the end of 30 days, it's your decision. So it's very simple. It's very easy. Yeah.
Do you have a close rate for, you get the product in someone's hands?
It's greater than 85%.
Sweet.
Yeah. That's why we use the program.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Because first of all, that first purchase, it's not a lot of money, right? So the whole idea is let's get it in your hands so that we can then begin the process of establishing a standard together so that becomes a greater relationship for us both. Yeah.
That's
why
a
we
good program.
Well, in a time where a lot of manufacturers have had difficulty, first of all, shipping product at all, but also then having a good demo program where our partners don't have to buy equipment. We've got equipment here, but I don't want my partner to have to buy, not for sale equipment to put in customers' hands that may end up in Pelican boxes shipping around the country that may get beat up. This is better. We have a very elegant out-of-box experience. I call it a little bit Apple-esque. So I want you to have that experience coming out of the box. Good questions.
All right. Anything else? I'm smelling like food, but
You smell like food?
I'm smelling food.
I smelled sandwiches in your beard earlier.
It's probably a sandwich in there.
So just thank you, everyone, for your time. Please reach out to Call One. We're here to support you all and Danny and his team. So we really appreciate you taking the time today.
Everybody, thank you.
Everyone, thank you.
Cool.
All right.